Welcome to Small Talk, where each week we sit down to discuss the sermon-based small group questions at Wallula Christian Church.
Hello and welcome back to Wallula's weekly podcast, Small Talk. My name is Zach Bowen, student pastor here at Wallula Christian Church, joined by Craig Archer, worship pastor, and Lance Kaufman, lead pastor. We're glad that you're with us today. We are continuing on in our series, The Unusual Suspects, and we're looking at Matthew 26. Not just 26. There's a lot that happens within 26, but we're looking specifically at Jesus before the Sanhedrin and also Peter denying Jesus. And so we're going to be looking a little bit more in that, questions number 7 and 9 on the small group questions. But before we begin, we will start with a fun one. And it says, what is your favorite movie? Wait, got that wrong. What is one of your favorite movies and which character is most like you? So it's kind of weirded differently because it's like, what's a character who's most like you in a movie you like, I guess? Because like, what's your favorite movie and also what's a character who's like you? I don't know.
I don't think it's that hard to understand.
Is it, they need to be connected. What is there?
What?
Maybe poorly written.
What's one of your favorite movies and which character is most like you? Because there's a lot of movies I really like. I'm like, none of the characters are like me.
So choose a character that's like you in a movie that you like.
Okay.
Yeah.
I already got my answer. I had to.
Let you go first.
Okay.
You're up.
Let's
see if you nail it or not.
Yeah.
What if he tells us a movie and then a character from another movie?
And Jim Halpert.
He's like, I didn't get it.
No, I was thinking like, well, what characters like me? And then I started thinking about what movies are they in.
That's good. I've given it no thought.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Yeah. So
ahead.
this will give you some time.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, okay, well, how do I see myself? And I'll skip to the end, and I put Scott Lang. And before I say the movie, I want to see if you guys know.
No idea.
Okay. I didn't know if you knew who that was. Ant-Man. And so we watch a lot of Marvel.
Is he Ant-Man?
That is Ant-Man, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd, yeah.
Okay.
And so the characteristics about him is if you look at all the Marvel Avengers and whatnot, he's usually the silly one, goofy one. It's kind of self-aware humor of what's going on.
He's a thief.
Right? That too. I wasn't including that.
You're
Yes.
not a thief,
okay.
though. You're not a burglar.
No. But personality-wise, he's friendly, kind of goofy, self-aware humor. He a lot of times will react with humor in a serious situation, whereas like Captain America's always serious and you know. And he's not the strongest Avenger, but if you watch Endgame or Infinity War, he played a big part in their success. And so he's not the main character, not the one who saves the day, but he is an important part of the team when needed. And so I was like, that seems like me. I'm not looking to be the lead of anything, but to be someone who's like, oh yeah, we really needed him. But more just the humor part, the friendly part. That's kind of what I was thinking.
And you'll dress up in a costume.
I won't dress up. He's not my favorite as far as the action
really
part.
Will. I mean, you've done that.
Dress up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Numerous times.
Yes.
What, the reindeer costume?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll dress up. And just that was
good.
Some of the stuff I had, but it's like Ant-Man's not really one of my favorites of those movies.
I don't think I've heard it. I mean, so I haven't seen like any of those.
It's fine.
So
really,
when you said Ant-Man, I'm like, guess that's a thing.
You've heard of Ant-Man though, right?
We have to show Katie the Goonies.
Yeah, Katie hadn't seen the Goonies. Yeah.
And Craig.
There's a lot of catching up to do.
All the Avengers. That's like 400 movies.
Yes, that is true.
Gotta watch with Craig.
You just got to watch.
I like you, bro, but I don't have the time to.
You got to watch phases 1, I think, through 3 is what it is. That goes to the Infinity Saga and Thanos and all that. But it's probably like a good 20 movies.
That's so wild.
Oh yeah, it's so good. I was talking to Ryan Agnew, who's the worship pastor at Westside, and he's like, I'm rewatching them all right now, and he has a ranking system. He has like a new journal, and he's like, I've been ranking them on. And I kid you not, I saw that and I was like, that sounds so fun. to go through it and be like, now that he knows, what the movies are, he's like, now I'm going to go through and really think about them and which one is. He wants to know like which one is the best one, so he has like a full grading scale,
like a rubric for
movies.
Yes,
of just those. And so I was like, oh, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
And so
man, that's a lot. I think there's some that aren't really included in the Marvel.
Yeah.
But are Marvel movies.
Mm-hmm. Like Venom.
He's just watching. Oh, yeah, that wasn't
because that's in the Spider-Man universe. Whose Spider-Man has been in the Marvel movies, but the Venom,
it's not
those characters.
That's not Marvel. It's Marvel, but it's not
and then there's like the TV shows, like The Punisher and who's the blind.
I was just thinking like
Daredevil.
X-Men are kind of like that, right?
Yes, but.
So is he watching X-Men or no X-Men?
That's a good question. I don't think so.
Does he include?
I don't think so. No, but those were the originals.
Like in which Incredible Hulks?
Yeah,
aren't there older ones that
I
don't
think he's
get
included. Right, but they're kind of included. They're like, we're going to add those and say that's part of it, just so you can know the character.
See, it's a lot of work. You have to do actual research to figure out which ones to watch.
You got to do what you love.
And then
that sounds so fun.
Really?
Oh yeah, to watch. Oh yeah, there's such good stories.
Yeah,
they're fun. And but I mean, not that you guys care at all. But they're adding the X-Men, like in the newest. There's a new Avengers movie, which is when there's only been 4 of them, but that's when they get all of them together.
Right.
So the next one coming out in this December is going to have the X-Men in it.
Who will Captain America be?
Well, I don't know because. On one hand, they ended all the series, and some of them died. Yeah. Won't say who. Some of them are no longer just doing other things. And you're like, well, they can't bring this back. But then in this next phase they've done,
but they can if the price is right.
They've introduced the multiverse, which means there's now the same characters in another.
You just get a different ring. Or
In another universe, there's the same.
So it'll be okay.
Yeah. Time travel is like, oh, we can go get the bad guys coming back from another timeline.
Or Guardians of the Galaxy. Is that in that?
Yeah.
He's watching those.
Yeah, that's part of the
really
cinematic
good.
Universe.
Yeah.
That's a good one, too.
Yeah.
All 3 of them.
Have you seen Guardians of the Galaxy? Big music.
Yeah.
Big music
Good
movies.
soundtrack. Yeah, you'd like it.
Really?
Yeah.
You gotta watch Guardians of the Galaxy.
That's a really funny one, too. Some of them are more serious and, intense, and some of them are funny and intense. And
That's
silly.
Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt, yeah.
Pratt.
And Groot, Gamora, Rocket. Yeah, all of them. It's good as the characters.
Yeah.
That's probably one of my Groot.
Groot.
It's probably one of my top 3
He's good.
of like those 20 movies would be Guardians.
Really?
One. Yeah. It's a really fun one.
Do you have a spreadsheet to prove that you rank them there, or I need some
documentation?
I don't. I'm not gonna lie. I have gone through and been like, okay, I see the list and I'm like, okay, how would I rank them? And just for fun, I put them in order of.
Yeah, sure.
And I would say Infinity War, Endgame,
just for fun.
I remember when Clayton and Elliot were like 5th grade.
Yeah.
And they would be in the office probably on a snow day, or it was just off, but like we were working and they weren't, and they were on the extra computer and they were looking up stadiums, baseball stadiums, and ranking them on which ones they thought were the best. And I just was like, what? Yeah. And you were teasing them, I think, about it, and you're like,
nerds.
Yeah.
And
that's the thing. You find something you love and you could geek out over it. And so,
sure.
Yeah. So that's how I feel. I hope I gave you enough time to think about
those are awesome
characters.
Yeah,
for what you guys will say. So I'll leave it up to you guys of what you may have come up with.
I feel like I just listened to you guys speak a different language for a few minutes.
Superhero movies.
He doesn't watch it, but he at least knows.
Yeah,
I've seen almost all of those.
Oh, have you? Oh, I thought you were saying. I thought you were teasing me because it's just too many.
No, well, it's too many to sit down and rewatch it.
It just sounds wild to me.
Rank them.
Oh, yeah.
Also, when you said Ryan is rewatching them,
oh yeah,
right.
That is a whole other ballgame.
Yeah,
like
I have
go back.
I have done that as well. I've rewatched them, just not. It took months to find the time to do it. But
I mean, I'm sure I've rewatched a Marvel movie.
Mm-hmm. Oh wow, like a movie.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Not I'm going to watch through 20 movies or whatever. But yeah.
So it's just wild to hear us talk. And then what was the rest of your time?
Here, my turn.
What kind of little independent? I feel like we're going to get some kind of minor independent movie that was up for Academy
What
Award
kinda-
in 2017 because three people
Did you ask
saw
Did you
it
ask
and-
Kaylee this, by the way? Did you get her thoughts on
Oh yeah,
who
well,
she thought you were?
So when I was standing there about 20 minutes ago, getting the computer set up,
Yeah.
I texted her and I said, "Help! I don't know what my favorite movie is." Maybe she can help me, because I don't know the last movie I saw, other than
It's not animated.
right
Right.
or yeah, like
Yeah.
so. The Grinch came to mind
Yeah.
because Christmas just happened.
Yeah.
Not too long ago. So I was like thinking outside of movies that I'm watching with my kids. Like I don't know the last movie I saw, and I would rather watch documentary over a movie.
Okay.
And so this is an easy pick if you go that route for me. May It Last is a Avett Brothers documentary of
Okay.
them
Okay.
writing and recording one of their albums.
Okay.
So
Do
that's
you-
my answer.
But which character is most like you? Do you feel like you are like any
The
of those?
Avett Brothers.
I know you like them, but
yeah.
Yeah.
are you?
He'd just be in the band.
There's one of so that like there's two brothers and then the whole band. And one of the brothers, Scott, I feel like he's kind of the more like out of the two, he's like more just kind of like down to earth, family oriented. Like the music inspirations that he has, I like a lot of the similar ones. So
Yeah.
I could
Does
say
he wear
him.
plaid?
Yeah.
Yeah. Bearded
You're a
plaid
bearded plaid.
Yep.
shirts. There you go.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
The bounty guy, I think, is like that too.
Avett Brothers.
So yeah. I
Alright.
was going through the list of documentaries I've watched because I seriously
Yeah.
can't think of the last time I
Even growing up, there
sat
wasn't
down
a
and
movie that
watched
you're
a
like,
movie.
"Oh, I like this movie."
Like I really like Oh Brother Where Art Thou.
Okay.
I'd probably say that's what, top favorite movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could be the John Goodman character.
Oh, okay.
With the eye
Yeah.
patch.
Oh yeah,
I'm just thinking of random characters.
The monster,
Yeah.
the giant. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
George Clooney's in that.
Yeah. What did Haley say though when you texted her?
Oh, she said the Avett Brothers documentary, or there's a documentary of a guy that broke the record riding his bike around Australia
Okay.
in the shortest amount of time.
Yeah.
She was like, you could say that because the main character is just one guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And who would know?
the guy, or
No, us.
Us. We're.
I don't know.
yeah.
Say whatever.
promise you,
Say
I-
whatever you want.
Yeah.
He was a
Yeah.
spitting image of me.
Right.
His temperament reminded me
What's
of.
that guy's name? Do you know?
yeah, Lachlan Morton.
Yeah. See.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you're just like, yep.
Don't you
Had
feel
no idea.
dumber
I
now?
had no idea.
He
So
wrote
in the same way you don't watch movies.
I feel so incredibly stupid.
Yeah.
I can sit here and talk to you for 30 minutes about these idiot superhero movies.
Oh yeah.
This is what's going on.
I could rank
and
them for you.
Craig's over here learning,
Yes. I was gonna say the last
becoming a
documentary
better
I saw.
person. Get over yourself, all right?
I saw Blackfish in 2008. I remember that.
Blackfish.
It was
How's
about orca.
Oh, yeah.
orcas and the
Yeah.
illegal
Did you guys-
Japanese fishing trade or something.
the
like
Michael Jordan documentary that came out.
that. I did see that. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
I feel like we maybe talked about
that
that.
was a COVID thing. Yeah, because it was like
Yeah.
what else was there to do?
That was like a multi-part.
The
That was
Last
long.
Dance. That was good.
Yeah, it was
okay,
really
I guess
good.
I did see that one too.
Sure.
I'm like Michael Jordan.
I hate losing.
No.
Same haircut.
Yeah, that's right. No, I would not be like Michael Jordan.
Interesting.
Do you have your Nikes on?
No, no, I don't
Oh.
have Under Armour.
That's really good. Those are good choices.
Yeah.
You guys did a good job.
Yeah.
I don't. The last movie I saw in the movie theater, I think, was this the Blue Song Sung Blue. That's the name of a movie about the Sweet Caroline.
Oh yeah, Neil Diamond.
Neil Diamond, but
Yeah.
it's not Neil Diamond. It's a cover band.
But it's based off a true story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was Neil Diamond cover band, and it was surprisingly good.
Played by Hugh Jackman, who also plays Wolverine.
Wolverine, and
Is this
yeah.
a recent movie?
Yeah, it was
Okay.
just
I don't know if
pretty
I heard
recent.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw the preview for it. I was like, oh, it's a Neil Diamond thing. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, it's a cover band of Neil Diamond. True story of a cover band. I'm like, man, I don't know any of it.
Yeah, it's sort of a sad story, but surprisingly well done. But I'm not like any of those people.
The director stood out to me. I like the way I like the way that he went with it.
I wouldn't.
More behind the scenes.
I'm not really a Neil Diamond fan, but I was surprised how much I like the music. Maybe I am a Neil Diamond fan.
Yeah.
I just didn't know it. Yeah. And so maybe now I am. I don't know.
Yeah.
So that's probably the last movie I saw in the theaters, I think. But now I can't remember this guy's name. I was going to say he's one of my favorite actors. And he's a comedian.
Okay.
And he was in like the Grown Up movies. And he was in the TV show called King of Queens.
Oh, Kevin James.
Kevin James. Mm-hmm. Kevin James. He's in a new movie.
In Italy?
Yeah, something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that I wanted to see. I haven't seen yet.
He finds love in Italy.
Yeah.
As a middle-aged guy.
Yeah. So
these are all previews. I haven't seen any.
Right, I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
But he's one of my favorites. And I mean, I could play Kevin James in a movie.
Yeah.
You know, so that's who I'll say I'm like.
Yeah.
Because I too found love in Italy, but that's not true. That's not true at all. Because Sherry and I met in Manhattan,
I was just at Little
Kansas.
Apple.
Yeah, Little Apple.
And our first date was at a Mexican restaurant,
Okay.
which is like Italian, except different.
It is.
And they have chips instead of pasta. And so, but there's
Carbs in different form.
Yeah, you could. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Well, you could ChatGPT your description of yourself and say what movie characters are
Right. Oh,
Yeah.
are like me, and so.
Lachlan, what's this guy's name?
Lachlan Morton.
Oh, Lachlan.
He's from Australia.
Lachlan.
Is that something that Haley watches with you?
Mm-mm.
Okay, I didn't know if it's like
Not that one.
we
But she knows what your favorite movies are.
Mm-hmm.
Just
because you don't watch very many.
Because then after it's
Watch
done,
it.
I'm just talking about it. You
Yeah.
know.
no, yeah.
So
It'll be interesting once your kids get older and they are wanting to watch stuff that's more than just cartoons,
yeah.
and then so like
And he's like, let's check out Lachlan.
I
Let's
know.
see what Lachlan Morton's up to.
so Graham
These days.
getting into Marvel. I was already watching it, but
Sure.
he and I talk about it, and so it's kind of fun. Anyway, so we'll see.
Okay.
Well, there you go. We know a little bit more about each other, and we are looking today at questions number 7 and 9. Number 7 says, "Is the identity of Jesus really the central question to the Christian faith? What happens when people get his identity wrong?" And so Jesus is on trial, and they're wanting him to defend himself, and on and on and on. And so they have different perspectives of who he is or who they think he is. And so when we're looking at the bigger picture of just Jesus's identity, what connection is that to our faith? And how do we miss that, or how does society miss that?
Well, when I read the question, my mind immediately went to Galatians, and Paul, the whole kind of purpose of that letter is he's trying to tease out, like, is the gospel all you need, or are these false teachers that are saying like gospel plus all this other stuff? Is that true? So he's really trying to just lay that out. And it reminded me of the very beginning of the letter when he says, if someone tells you a gospel contrary to what I'm telling you, like, let that person be cursed. And that's how serious he was about the gospel message and how it was being portrayed and told. And it just reminded me of that, because like at the root of what Paul is saying about the gospel message, it's like you have to get Jesus right for who he is and who or what he says he's accomplishing for us and our salvation. And so, it's like that's a foundational issue that, like, if that is not solid and set, there can be so much confusion coming from that. And like, I was reading a book recently called Reading the Bible with the Church Fathers, which is pretty interesting, but at times it was like super dry, and I was like, why am I? Yeah.
That's how I'm picturing the Lachlan Morton documentary.
And that's why I end up watching them by myself.
Okay.
No, but so it's like these guys that starting from like the year 50 to about like 400. It's like
Right.
hitting like these 10 different people. And, you know, so it's around the time of the Council of Nicaea when all these people met to like nail down like who is Jesus.
Right.
Because there's people that are saying like, oh, he's not actually part of the Trinity. He's someone that came later. So he's not actually the
Right.
Son of God like you say he is. He's a created, like all this stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting. It's like, this is a question that people have wrestled
Sure.
with since the beginning of Jesus being here and his resurrection.
Right.
But yeah, I couldn't get
Since
over
the Gospels.
right. Yeah, that's yeah.
You know, before the church fathers.
Yeah.
Jesus asks. He just straight up asks
Yeah.
his disciples, "Who do people say I am?"
Right.
There wasn't just one answer. You know, people were saying different things. So, yeah.
Yeah. And it's like he knew. And that's what I keep thinking about is like
Right.
the foundation of that. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, how does knowing Jesus' identity
Right.
affect how you're going to think about your own salvation and share the gospel with other people? Like, how is it going to affect your worship and your prayer and how you serve? Like, all of those things. Because that's
Right.
what, like, Paul is getting at. It's like, you don't need Jesus plus all of these other things stacked on top of it.
Right.
It's like, just let Jesus be who he says he is. And so, yeah, it's like, man, you got to have that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is the identity of Jesus really the central question to the Christian faith? So the answer was yes. And so I just, even at the very beginning, I thought like Christian, you know, it's like little Christ.
Right.
It's everything that we do. Our whole faith is centered on him. And yeah, we're looking at the Bible, and there's a lot to it. But you know, the Old Testament points to him, and the rest of the New Testament points back to him, and even now, everything is centered on him. You know, when we baptize someone, we'll say, you know, do you believe and do you accept him as your Lord and Savior? And so the belief is just half of it. Like a lot of people may believe, but it's the accepting of Lord and Savior. And we like the Savior. We like the Savior part of, you know, oh yeah, I get to,
Right.
I'm going to heaven and I'm saved now. But the Lord that requires, you know, some changes in my own life now. If someone is Lord over me, they're in control. Their rules and what they say goes. And so now I have to model my life after what this Lord is saying that I should be thinking, doing, living, treating other people. And so, and then what happens when people get his identity wrong? And I was thinking about, okay, well, what are different ways that we may get it wrong? And what I realized is it's not that people are, well, it can happen where they're just totally misrepresenting, but a lot of times they're just focusing on one part. And that's what a lot of people, even with good hearts, they're just looking at one side. So like he's a great teacher, right? And so basically he's useful for just moral teachings, but they push down the divine part of it and the need for repentance. It's just to help us live better. That he's only loving, which he is, right? But then we reject anything that has to do with the whole, you know, his hard truths that he teaches, or the whole "go and sin no more," where he actually makes a claim
Judgment.
that he's that he's a judge, and so we are quick to, you know, tell people about the dangers of their lifestyle while rejecting the love or compassion or grace.
Right.
And so each time, you know, in how do people get his identity wrong? It's just when we focus on one aspect instead of understanding who he is completely. And that takes work, and it takes wisdom and discernment to, you know, the number of times, I think it was right after Charlie Kirk got shot, and people are like, you know what, we need to go flip some tables. We need to be flipping. And it's like they like that one part, you know, of what does it look like. And so, and for sure he did, but also like, well, what was the context there? And it's like, yes, Jesus stood up and I guess, quote unquote, not even fought, but, you know, took a stand that was troubling to others. And you could take anything going on within our culture, within our life, and say, well, we need to be loving here, or just we need to show judgment or whatever. But it takes understanding who he is, and then having discernment and wisdom in how we should move forward with that. And I think we get his identity wrong when we choose to only look at one thing and not the bigger picture. I saw this quote which says, we reshape Jesus into an image that requires less repentance, requires less surrender, and less theological discomfort. And so one of the things I do is I like to just go back and think, in what ways have I changed where I've had to do something I didn't want to do because of Jesus? And if I can't name anything, no, Jesus lines up with everything that I think and believe and want to do. And he has no problems. My faith hasn't, forced me to change at all in any of those things. I think there's something wrong there. That there's constant change and growth that happens because I'm following him and not just my own desires. So, yeah.
I think I don't have a whole bunch to add to those answers. That's really great stuff. For sure, Jesus is central to Christianity, what it means to be a Christian. It's to be a follower of Jesus. You think about what does it mean to follow Jesus, or maybe you think about a little kid's game like follow the leader, or even Simon Says, or a game of horse, and on your backyard basketball hoop. Well, you have to do what the person in front of you does, and so that's what it means to follow Jesus, and we want to do what the person in front of us does, and so you have to know who that person is. You can't just focus on one character trait, or one personality trait, or one part of their life, and so you guys nailed it there. I was thinking, well, okay, what's really the central idea or central theme or most important fact of Christianity? And I thought, okay, well, maybe you could say the resurrection, right? And not maybe, the resurrection. And so does that mean that you can get a little part of Jesus wrong or something? And then as I continued to think about that, well, at least part of what the resurrection does is it confirms who Jesus is. It confirms that Jesus is God's son, that he is God. And so, Jesus is at the center of everything. The resurrection, Paul went so far as to say, if the resurrection isn't true, then our preaching is in vain. This life is in vain. What are we doing this for? And so, I think you guys nailed it, that for sure Jesus is at the middle of all of this. When we get him wrong, it can be really, when you think of people will be critical of the church, and when you look at things that folks get wrong in the church, a lot of times that's from kind of misrepresenting Jesus, and so it's not good.
Right.
Nothing good has come from misrepresenting Jesus.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and even the whole getting him wrong, like if you're focused on just one of the things, and you had already said it too, but it's the most important thing. So it's this foundation. So if you think about,
right,
I play Jenga with the kids, and if the table is slightly off, it doesn't seem that big until you start you build it more and more, and you realize this thing is leaning way more than it should be because, and so the longer you go building your life on a slightly altered version of Jesus,
right,
you're gonna really start noticing it when life happens, and everything else. And so,
well, we're in the middle of this series where the next couple of weeks we'll have guest preachers in, and we're swapping preachers with a couple churches in Leavenworth, and we work with area churches, and lots of times churches will talk about, well, okay, we're going to partner with other churches, and there are things that are different. In these churches, there's things that doctrinally we teach differently. There's kind of our style of worship might be different. Some of the things we do in service to Jesus might look different, and some of the ways we carry that out. And we'll say things like, well, we need to have unity in the essentials, and everything else we can practice charity. We can kind of roll with the punches there. Well, that's really good. You know, that makes a lot of sense. But the essentials is knowing what the essentials are, right? And I don't know if there's a long list or a short list, but first on that list is Jesus, right? And so if we disagree about who Jesus is, probably, you know, that's the end of the partnership, kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, as we move down to the last question, question 9, it says, we could be pretty hard on Peter, but can you think of a time when you've been guilty of denying Jesus as well? And then also, what are some ways that people deny Jesus today? And so it is easy to look at really a lot of the things that happen in the Bible and be like, oh, those Israelites, can't believe they would do that, or walked on water and then started sinking, or he denied Jesus, and then you know, it's humbling to think like, oh, that's my story too. And so, you know, in what ways do we see people, maybe even us, how do we deny Jesus in our own ways?
Yeah. And Lance brought up examples of that on Sunday when you talked about the pocket Jesus.
Right.
And that reminded me of, you know, like you just said, Zach, it's like I don't have a moment, I think, in my life when I'm like, man, I just like blatantly was
that
like,
rooster crowed.
Oh, no,
and,
that's
you were
not
confronted with it.
Yeah, I don't know him. So it's not like any like major instance like that, but I can think of, especially shortly after becoming a Christian, and you know, I had friends up to that point that I knew what they thought about Jesus and Christianity, and they were never going to step foot in church. They thought it was a joke and all that stuff. And so I thought back to some of those conversations. Like after I became a believer and was following Jesus, I could have done a better job of sharing around them, just being honest and open, and not, like you said on Sunday, like tuck Jesus away for a little bit, because if I were to bring him up right now, it'd be pretty uncomfortable in front of this friend that I've had for a while, because like I said, I know what his reaction would probably be like. And that was like a kind of an odd season where, like, because it was in college, and it's like I'd surrounded myself with people that weren't believers, and all of a sudden I'm like, okay, so I gotta be good to find some new friends, but I don't want to like get rid of the friends that I already have. So yeah, just some of those conversations, I look back and it's like I could have just been, like I said, a little more honest, open, transparent about it, and let them know, like we talk about sharing your testimony, like, hey, this is what Jesus did in my life, you know, and that was like I just kind of kept thinking about instances like that where it's like it might not be this like blatant out in the open denial of who Jesus is, but like it was like I was talking about Council of Nicaea, where it is kind of like really denying who Jesus is, but it's like, well, when you're not maybe open and honest about your relationship with Jesus, or if you're not like fully putting trust in him in a situation or for your salvation or whatever it might be, when we try to like fix things on our own, rely fully on ourselves in life, like Zach was saying earlier, it's like, who are you making Lord of your life? And so if you're trying to sit on your own throne in your life, like that's a way of you're denying the power of Jesus and the gift of the Holy Spirit. And so that example really made me kind of consider just like the little ways, because we look at someone like Peter and it's like, man, I would no. And then it's like, oh, if you really sit with it for a second, you can think of these smaller instances, but it's just as significant, because it's like, who is Jesus? The power that he holds, the resurrection, like all that stuff.
For sure.
Well, and I think the really cool part about the story, and you had talked about this at the end of your sermon, is I think growing up, I was just anxious anyway, and people-pleasing tendencies and all this stuff, and I could make a list of like times that I'd messed up, or I should be better than this, and whatever, and recognizing the story doesn't end with him being like, yeah, that's just like me, but that Jesus came around and gave him another opportunity, having breakfast with him on the beach, and we see where Peter ended up. like what Jesus was still able to do with him, and the start of the early church in Acts, and recognizing like just because you fail doesn't mean that's who you are and that's where you're going to be, stuck, that you have this opportunities. But I think it is important to recognize this is a failure, because I'll get to my story of like in what ways do I think I've been guilty of it. But the different ways that people deny Jesus, I thought of the verbal part, but not like I don't believe in Jesus, but kind of like you said, there are times when it comes up in conversation, or I feel like I need to say something and we just don't.
Yeah.
We're like, I don't want to rock the boat. I don't want things to be uncomfortable. When it's either in a conversation or, and it's in those moments you feel like I should say something right now, but you just don't want to. And
Right.
So I thought in a small way there's that. I also thought like just lifestyle, where you do everything like Sundays for church and the rest of them are for me. And so we are very quickly able to divide up our lives in when we use our faith and when we don't. And maybe some people think, I don't see anything wrong with that. Christmas and Easter, that's when I go to church, and they may even be kind of blind to thinking that's the norm or that's okay. But having that separation of within my lifestyle of being a Christian and not, and then also, I thought like doctrinal, like what I was talking about before of how do we deny Jesus? We only pick the parts that we like. So like I said before, he's just a teacher, or he's a moral figure, or,
Sure.
Just the judge. And then the last one, I thought, how do we deny Jesus with like our allegiance, where I would say things become an idol. And so where if you're going to have, I think someone described it like if you're going to have two flags, your Christian flag and whatever else, which one are you flying first? So it could be political, it could be your career, it could be your comfort, but it's like, I'm not willing to give this thing up.
Right.
This is going to filter how I come to my faith. And so, when people deny Jesus, I think most of the time it's not an intellectual thing. Some people may, but like it's either pressure or fear or desire or pride that kind of lead us away. I was trying to think I wanted to just be like, kind of like you said, I've never really denied them, but also there's times when I haven't done things. But I was trying to think of like, is there a for real example that I can think of? So I'm going really far back. I for sure have messed up and have done all of these things, but I remember so clearly I was 16 years old, so I know it's a long time ago, but we went to see DC Talk and Audio Adrenaline play at Kemper Arena, and it was amazing. It was so good. And at the end, they were like, okay, we want you guys to pray, like find someone, and we're going to do this prayer thing. And everyone was grouped up, and I saw this like huge black security guard at the end of the aisle that I was at. And I was like, I mean, it was just laid on me, like, you should go pray with them. Like everyone else is like, all these little kids and youth groups are doing it. And I was like on my own, and I just saw him and I was like, oh, I really think this would be a cool moment. Like he's just there to work. Like, I don't know what he was. It's not like he's crying and no one's going up to him. He's just like, I don't even know if he would have wanted that. But I was probably the first time I remember being like, you should go do this. And I was he was an adult.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't. And I remember I think it was like the first time in my life when I thought, this is what God wants me to do. And the whole time, and as they're praying, I was like, I still can go do it. And no, I didn't the whole time. I just was so scared. And so and it still stands. I kind of forgot about it until I'm reading this. Like, was there a time? And for sure, there's been more in the past 30 years where I've denied Jesus. But that was my first like clear time when.
Yeah. There's so many. Those are the kinds of things that first come to my mind. I don't know as if many of us have, story like Peter's, or if there's really terrible stories like like with the Columbine school shooting and stuff like, I don't know as if we have those kinds of moments. Do you believe in Jesus? And somebody, and we either stand up or we don't. But this morning in the Easter reading plan, you're reading Mark chapter 1 and 2. And so in the first chapter of Mark, there's the first few chapters, especially in Mark, he uses this word immediately over and over again. Just everything happens immediately. And there's the calling of Peter and Andrew and James and John, and they immediately drop their nets and follow Jesus. And I just thought, well, that's the kind of thing you're talking about, is just these calls that we receive from God throughout our life, throughout our days, right? Just on a daily, weekly, everyday basis, just those little ideas. Hey, you ought to help that person out, or give this friend a call, reach out, to so-and-so, or pray with the security guard, or, for me, the first time I remember a situation like that, I think, well, I can go back to the early days of Lance, and I remember sitting in a youth conference at Ozark Christian College, and hey, if anybody here is interested in going into ministry, you ought to come forward and pray. And me sitting there just holding onto that chair, like I'm not going to do that. And when I thought, I probably should, this is what God wants me to do. Nah. And but in ninth grade, where I was at lunch with a buddy of mine at school, the school lunch, after you eat, and they would send us all down to the end of the commons area, the cafeteria, and hang out until the teacher came to retrieve their class. And so we're hanging out. And it's a Monday or a Tuesday or whatever, and he's like, hey, what did you do this weekend? And I said, not much. And, maybe I mentioned youth group on Sunday night because that became a topic of conversation. He's like, well, what happened at youth group? What do you do there? And I'm like, nothing. No, I said, no.
Sure, that never happens with our youth group.
Yeah, no big deal. Nothing. Don't worry.
Yeah.
And it was pretty obvious in retrospect, anyway. And I feel like even as a dumb ninth grader, I knew that Brian was pretty interested in this.
Yeah. Why else would a ninth grader ask?
Yeah. These are the opportunities that youth pastor is always talking about, that, you ought to immediately obey and just say, this is pretty important, actually. Not only did I have a good time, but this is why it's worth going and being a part of. And just thinking, no, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. And so those are the times that I'm thinking where I guess we're not standing up saying, I don't know the man.
Right.
But our actions are kind of saying, I don't know the man. I don't know who this Jesus is. And so those are the kinds of situations that come to my mind.
Yeah. Yeah. And I also think, like, if you're listening and thinking, if you're resonating with that part, we could also go around and say, because of those situations in our own life, we've recognized when we do need to step out. Like, that doesn't have to be your only story and your only identity, but man, a lot of times many Christians who have gone through periods of doubt or denying Jesus, that has been a motivating factor to say, next time, I want to stand up. I want to do something. I want to be more faithful. And so, just encouraging, Jesus isn't done with you.
That's true. I don't know if this is encouraging or not, but I would love to say, I don't feel like this has been my experience. That I would love to say that it's like holding your girlfriend's hand. The first time's really difficult. You're scared, and your palms are sweaty, and you're nervous, and then it gets easier and easier to hold your girlfriend's hand, and I suppose that's a little bit true, right? But man, there's still every time this decision that you're making,
right?
Will I stand up for Jesus? Will I step out and say something or do something, or am I going to take this action that the Holy Spirit's prompting me to take? And it's we talk about this spiritual battle, and sometimes we either minimize that, or we make it something so grandiose that nobody has ever really experienced. But I mean, that's truly you're in the middle of that spiritual battle every time your heart is playing this tug of war, you know, between yay or nay, obedience or selfishness.
Yeah.
You know, which one is it going to be?
And even lately, when we do our Bible reading with the kids before they go to bed, the children's Bible that we're in right now, I really like, because a lot of them, when we read it's chronological, and it gets to the resurrection, and then it's over. And this one follows Acts into like kind of, it gives it a little bit of revelation, but it's like really slowly. We've gone through Paul's journey for like multiple days, and so we're to the point like where Paul is getting like lifted away, and he's like, I want to say one more thing, and he just like tells his testimony. And so we've been having these conversations with Elsie about like, man, he just had one last thing to say,
Right.
and he's like, Jesus changed my life.
Yeah.
And then lately she's been not like really prompting from us, but she's been like, man, it's kind of scary to tell people about Jesus.
Yeah.
And even at 6 years old, almost 7, she like senses that.
Yeah.
And then we're just like, you're not wrong, you know? Like you said, there's a little bit of like,
Yep.
you know?
Yeah.
Good night.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't. That's an awesome story, and very cool. But man, that's because where is she getting that? You know, she's not growing up in a house where it's like, shh,
Right.
Yeah.
don't say anything about Jesus.
Mommy
You know,
and daddy
she's
get
not-
upset.
Yeah,
or-
she's not growing up in a house where it's like, no. I mean, we talk about Jesus on Sunday, but not, not around these people. You know, she's got this large
Yeah.
support system that loves Jesus, and they're still, even in
Yeah.
kindergartner,
Right.
right? A little spiritual battle
Yeah.
going on,
And she recognizes, she asks us, she'll be like, does this person love God? You know? And we're like,
No.
sometimes we're like, we know them. We're like, yeah. And other times like, so she's like, senses like, oh, like, do I need to, am I going to tell them about, like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
The pressure of that. It's like, just
Yeah,
the things going through her head.
Yeah.
yeah, that's
That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, great conversation. We're going to continue on with this. Next week, we'll be looking at Paul York's
Dave.
Dave. Oh, yeah, Dave. I'm getting mixed up.
For a second, I was like, who's Paul York?
Paul York. Oh, Paul.
Dave's brother.
Paul York was in our youth group. I graduated with him in '99.
Oh,
He
right.
came to Wallula.
There you go.
And so I think he lives in Piper. Dave York will be preaching this Sunday in our pastor swap. So we'll be talking about his sermon. And so we look forward to that. So we'll see you next week.
All right.